I won't lie to you. I spend maybe 2 minutes per day on Instagram, and I generally just don't have time to actually like engage people on it. But it's always a good idea to like have presence on probably every major platform. Maybe everyone except for Facebook. Um, because Facebook has like its own issues. You can't be serious there. Um, at least not the way it is. Like you can run ads. I think Facebook is like proper for ads or like products. But for someone like me who is basically selling a service, Facebook isn't really the most useful place. So Instagram is a place that I've actually found to be very, very useful. I've been sharing images like these. You might be wondering how long it takes me to create these. Practically a second. I'll show you how it works right now, but just look at the quality on here, and then you'll start understanding how really, really impressive it is. I'm not even gonna go too far. I'm just gonna open the chat and I'm just gonna write something. Uh, Never underestimate yourself or the potential of what the best version of yourself can achieve. Really simple, really like nothing special at all. I'll let this run through and I'll just show you why this is impressive. So for one thing, we have the big bold text. Responsibility unlocks the power to transform one's reality. Relatively complex, but once you read the caption, you start understanding what the text means. So it's like own your story, write your future, and then it explains even more. Like it's easy to feel like life happens to us, but the moment we truly embrace responsibility for where we are, we unlock an incredible power to change it. It's not about blame, it's about reclaiming your agency. Have you ever felt that profound shift? Right. I mean, we even have the engagement baiting question. Like, this is relatively well formed. At least that's how I feel. And the picture in the background just ties it all together, especially with the color schemes. This is really good. Plus, it has mention of my business, which is Tech Fusion. And I don't have to do anything. And it literally just posted another one. We can actually just click out of this. I think if we reload this, it should appear within a few seconds. And even more interestingly, it sends me an email saying that my post succeeded. So it sends me an email on Gmail. Your Instagram post was published with the date and time and everything. So yeah, this is the latest post. Never underestimate yourself or the limitless potential of your best version. So your greatest self holds infinite power. Never doubt its reach. Have you ever caught yourself selling your potential short? Imagine the best version of yourself, limitless and real. What's one small step today to move closer? And honestly, this is the type of these are the type of ideas that I generally think about like all the time, because I understand like what it means to basically have to reimagine what you're capable of, like from fundamentals. I used to live my days just not living at all, just on my phone scrolling through endless texts, just reading, not even going outside and talking to people. I hated myself and therefore I hated other people. I wasn't actually a human. It wasn't until I started, writing, started engaging with ideas, and then I learned automation, and then I ended up sort of becoming someone else just by working on myself and my craft. I ended up becoming someone else. So these ideas that I'm sharing are really, really impactful for me, and I hope that they impact the lives of others because I want to have an impact in the industry. And this was just something that I created so that I spread my influence even on platforms that I'm not on, like Instagram. Let me just take you through what's actually happening. So, as you saw, this was the first message, and it went into this first LLM chain node that was connected to a ChatGPT node. And yeah, it's basically taking this chat input and the magic, I guess, when it comes to any LLM chain node is the system prompt, right? I tell it its identity, so it basically synthesizes axioms. That's all it does, and its output is the axiom. So as a string, it's a JSON. with the axiom as a string. Even more importantly, I tell it to require a specific output format, and then I connect an output parser right here that is literally defined exactly that way. And that way it gets whatever text representation that the LLM brings out, it passes it into JSON, and then the output is never underestimate yourself or the limitless potential of your best version, which is exactly what we see on this. So you might be wondering how we are able to create this. I'll show you that later. But if you know me, then you probably know that I make these using Placid. Um, I won't show you the template because I feel like anyone can just make this type of thing. But yeah, it's very, very simple to make. So this outputs the axiom, which is basically the thing that goes on the image, the quote. This one generates the background image. I'm very proud of this, so I wanted to show you guys how it works. While that's loading, you have to understand that what this one gets the axiom and what it outputs is the URL and the prompt. Um, and there's a reason why I'm calling it the prompt, but just remember that. So this URL is a Google Drive URL, and it's the URL that's hosting the image. So this generates the background image, which is the image that you're seeing over here in the background. What you'll notice is that these images are always different. Well, not always, because I have a template that's always the same background image. But like whenever the images change, they always have some theme to them, which is it's exactly what this workflow is about. So yeah, this is how it looks. This it might look complicated, but it's relatively simple. I'll take you through it. So this is just a sub execution node, starts the entire thing. It has one single input parameter, which is the prompt, and it's defined as a string. That's how I'm able to take in the axiom, and that's how I'm able to transform it over here. So this one, it generates the text, or rather uh, the image background prompt. Let me just bring the execution into the editor so that you see this. So this, yeah, it has two outputs, which is the prompt and the style. These are very important. The prompt is important for defining how the image looks. The style is important for defining basically how the image feels. And you'll soon understand what that means. But we have, just a fat. I think when it comes to system prompts, the most important thing is identity. I feel like this isn't just applying to AI models; it's applying to like humans as well. Um, my major belief is that people cannot accomplish anything without actually having the identity that is capable of accomplishing it. I remember I used to not think that I was capable of making videos, and then one day I decided to make videos, and then by just the mere fact of my decision, I became capable of making videos. And then after making videos for such a long time, I can't even imagine myself like not having the ability to make videos because making videos is just part of my identity now, which is kind of an interesting concept. Is like we can apply identities to AIs and they are able to embody them. They're able to act in line with them. They have some kind of purpose, some kind of input and output expectation, and then they have some schema for the outputs. We define everything here, and it resonates with all these different ideas that I have about what it means to be a human who has expectations for himself and wants to succeed in life. And that's why like I take this process of prompting very, very seriously. And my prompts are like always really maybe too defined because I even define the personality and everything. But yeah, this schema is very important. And again, I always try to use an LLM chain. This allows me to just hook in a different type of AI. Because like if before I was using Gemini, then I could just switch that out and maybe use something else. Maybe use like an OpenAI node like I used in the first workflow. This time I'm using Gemini though. And of course in the output parser, it's literally the exact same thing. I have the image prompt and the style here. And so it takes in this text representation, cleans it up, and then it outputs it in terms of JSON so that we can play around with it. Now this comes into here, which it adds all these different unique identifiers. These unique identifiers are very useful in the future when we're trying to name the image and then upload it to Google Drive. And then it just the prompt is style. We just pass it. Here we're using the edit fields node as nothing more than something that puts all the data together so that it's easy to reference in the future. We don't really care too much, but I feel like the edit fields node is so powerful. I feel like most people underestimate how powerful the edit fields node is, especially since we have these expressions here. So what that means is that you could do anything. If I wanted to, instead of the string, if I wanted to pass a value that determined whether or not something existed, I could just pass a boolean and then I could have some kind of evaluating expression here. Like I could say, this, JSON.output.prompt double equals null question mark, and then if it's null, pass a, you know, uh, true if it's and then colon false, which is basically just like an inline function or an inline evaluation expression, um, which allows you to do some really interesting stuff. You can map things. You can do some really interesting stuff. Like these are all things that I would love to go through in the future, but not important right now. What is important is this switch statement that's next. So over here, what's basically happening is that we have a bunch of switching rules, and all of them are switching based on the style. And you might be wondering what determines the style? It's the prompt, of course. Um, the prompt reads the axiom and then it assigns a style based on how the axiom feels. It also determines a prompt, so it's like an ethereal network of luminous interconnected nodes radiating soft, willful light across a canvas of deep purples and blues. And of course, I love purple and blue. Actually, all my images have like some purples and blues in them. Uh, yeah, well, most of them. This one has like a bit of gold, but purple and blue, like you see it all around. And yeah, all of these images are like really sort of ethereal, really interesting, but not too overpowering. Like they're perfect for background images. And the styling is just to sort of add a deeper element to it. I'll show you a few of like how these styles actually look. What they do is they just add a style prompt to the style. So this, so like asymmetric composition, golden ratio, neon colors. Um, yeah, it defines a type of image that the AI image creator should create. Specifically for the inspiring style, rule of thirds, golden ratio, hyperrealistic, natural lighting, high contrast, octane render, photorealism. Like all of this stuff, and all of it gets outputted again since we're saying you must include all the other input fields. Which is why we actually push them into the edit fields now so that we could push them in again. So that we're referencing literally everything we've created so far. And this is very useful, of course. Now here, this loop is in case we were doing multiple images or multiple items. It would have looped through every one of them, which is like obviously something, I think something very useful for like any kind of image generation concept that you ever have. Of course, I can, the nice thing, like the reason why I created this in a sub workflow is because I wanted to modularize it, because I understood that I don't have to just use this image generation concept just for Instagram images. I could pass in a different kind of prompt and then generate images based on that. Actually, modularization is so important to me that I have more sub workflows in my init than I do workflows. Like you could literally see it over here. There's all these different references to all these. It's because I understand that there's so many different reusable parts to like every single workflow. It would be a shame to use, like, the only thing you probably can't use every single time is your prompt. So basically your LLM chain. and maybe some kind of specific creation that you're making. So like this payload. But that payload is for Placid, and Placid demands a specific payload. The same way you'd create a specific payload for QuickBooks or some other kind of platform that you actually need to cater to. Um, there's so many different reusable parts of your workflow. It would be a shame to actually like have to redefine them every single time. So just modularize your workflows, pull them in as sub workflows, and then you basically just shorten the amount of time it takes for you to actually create really useful things. Um, so here in this next node, we're just going to generate the image. We're basically passing the prompt and the style prompt. Right? We're telling it to depict whatever the prompt is, and then we're giving it the style as well, and it's able to generate this really cool image that we just saw over there. Like it's the purples and blues, the delicate organic tech filaments, like as you can see all those different nodes, and that's exactly what I defined in these uh, in the image, the background image prompt generation node. Um, I wanted to kind of feel techy, but to also have that same like hopeful, interesting feel to it with the different tech vibes, and also have my favorite colors, which are purple and blue, of course. Um, so after creating that, I immediately upload the file to Google Drive, of course, and I name it using the unique ID. And then I immediately share the file. This is probably the most important part of this. Um, so yeah, naming it with the unique ID allows me to be able to track exactly when images are created, because this number can be reverse engineered into a date and a time and a like it's very very useful. But that's not important. What is important is this: we want to share this so that anyone can read it and anyone can discover the file across the internet. Very useful for sharing online, right? You want to be able to allow other people to see your images and use them, especially when it comes to Placid, which is like very finicky about like having the ability to see your images. The next thing we want to do is we want to change, like, because what we get from these Google Drive nodes is the ID. So this is the file ID, and we want to assign the file ID to a URL that anyone can access, because that's what Placid wants to see. So that's exactly what we do here. We send out this URL, and by the end of the loop, we're going to have a bunch of URLs stored here. But all these URLs are going to come in here as items. And then we're going to assign them to this Google Drive view mode. So this is the view type. There's different kinds of Google Drive URL modes. Like there's the view mode, there's the download mode. This one is the view mode, and it's most useful for Placid. Download mode would immediately download a file, which is like not very useful. How Placid works apparently is it uses Puppeteer to scroll over a hosted image, an image that's hosted on the internet, read how it looks, and then put that image on the background or anywhere on its generated images inside the platform. This was something I had to discover after painstaking experimentation. And now that you know, then you don't have to discover it ever again. Just understand that all you have to do is make sure that you make your images viewable instead. And this is how you format that type of viewing mode. And then we also pass the prompt because the prompt is useful for the generation of the other of the Instagram caption, which is something that we're going to be seeing when we're back here. So this was this, and we're only halfway through. Bear with me. The next node is the part where we create the payload. Probably the simplest part. I've created so many Placid payloads. I don't even know right now. Yeah, I'm basically Placid's best friend right now. But um, this is probably the most useful thing. What you don't want to do is you don't want to like you want to have multiple templates that all function the same. So maybe be able to have background images on all of them, be able to have some kind of quote text on all of them, but all of them can just look different, can just feel different. but as long as they have that same shape to them, then they all like work really well together. You want to assign them to some kind of array. This time I only have like one, just for the purposes of this demo. But I actually have designed like three, and that's why you saw all those different images back there. Um, yeah, you want to assign them to this, and then you want to choose a template randomly out of those. You can just add more templates. I think there's also the possibility of actually creating templates on the fly, which is like the most interesting thing. I don't know if they've implemented that yet. I hope they have, but yeah. As long as you keep your schema, so the quote, the BGIMG, as long as you keep your schema the same, so that nothing actually breaks when it's trying to generate the images, it should be able to generate the right thing. So like um, whatever image generation platform you're creating, whatever automated image generation platform you're creating on, just make sure that the schema is tight. So yeah, after creating the payload, you want to pass it to a an image generation post, and this is specifically for Placid. I could show you how this looks right now. So this is specifically for Placid. And it's loading. Okay, so it takes in everything. It passes the entire payload to basically just send a request. And then this is just a polling loop. So what it does is it checks the status of the request. If it hasn't completed, if it's finished, then it would immediately pass on the result to us. If it hasn't finished, it would check if it's an error. If the error is true, it would stop everything. But if the error is false, then it would wait for like a bit of time and then check the status again, check if it's finished, check if it errored, wait, check the status, And most image generation lasts maybe about 10 seconds, depending on how crazy the image is. But this one was able to finish everything. I don't even have to check the executions or anything because it makes total sense. And then we come here where we're generating the caption and the comment. So this one takes in the prompt or the axiom, I guess, which is what we got. And it generates a caption and comment. For this, I actually injected a bunch of context, which was just some ideas that I have. And these are actually just all the ideas I have. Um, yeah, I tell it in your attempt to generate this content, take into consideration these ideas and try to represent their meaning into it. And basically, it's like faith without action is nostalgia for a life that never exists. Like these types of ideas that I think are very important for other people to understand because I understand them very well, and I want other people to understand them as well because this is what I'm about. I think most people get online presence wrong because they're too busy trying to entertain. They're not actually like being themselves. In a world where like we're heading into a world where entertainment will be so cheap to get that no like the moat for being entertaining will be just so fucking low. What people should be trying to do is they should be trying to like be themselves as much as they possibly can on the internet. And even if it's cringe, even if it's weird, even if you're automating your online presence like I am, as long as you just manage to inject some essence of yours, some really important thing out there, because there's nothing on this Instagram page that I don't believe in. Like I believe in self mastery. I believe in sort of fighting to kind of take out like every single speck of your uh, potential. Um, I believe in overcoming yourself and becoming better every single day, and I share those ideas. Like every time I feel like I have a really good idea, I just type it in that text box, and then AI sometimes butchers my ideas. I won't lie, which has made me sort of want to change how it represents the image text. So maybe the image text should just be a cleaned up version of my axiom. But other times it actually makes it really, really 10 times better, which is something I generally just like I get very, very excited about that every single time. But yeah, this one generates the caption and the comment. I won't really, uh, sorry about that. I won't really go into things too much. But yeah, it's the same thing, right? It's since I'm doing an LLM chain, I'm telling it to output everything in terms of JSON, and then I also connect an output parser that is literally structured the exact same way, so it knows exactly what to do. And then over here, this is the image posting. This might seem complex to you when you first see it, but it's actually not that difficult to understand. Let me explain it to you. So, what this takes in is the first comment, the caption, the post type, and the image URL. The post type, you might be wondering why the post type exists, and this is just an idea for the future expansion of the Instagram post. Because like you could post to the feed, but you could also post to the stories. There's a bunch of different integrations I could put in to make sure that I'm posting to stories. The only reason I'm not posting to stories is because stories kind of disappear after 24 hours, which is like not very useful for someone who's trying to automate their online presence. You want to uh, post something and then just have it exist like forever. You don't want to just post something on your story unless it's like something that should disappear. But I don't believe my ideas should disappear. I want them to stay out there forever. Like I want people to scroll through my Instagram and then just have a good understanding of who I am and what I'm about. That's why I'm doing things like this. But of course, this is just like a possible expansion. Like I could make it agentic, so I could like after the chat node, I could have it be an agentic thing, and then connect another agent below it that is connected to all the different sub workflows that are generating the background images, generating everything. And it could decide whether or not to post it on the feed or the story based on what I say. This like the only limitations that exist are the ones I set upon myself, basically. And I don't like setting limits on myself. But yeah, like here's the first comment, the caption, and the image URL that's basically been created, which is the placid image. Um, which is basically like the post image, like something that looks like that. All of that goes in there, and of course I have like some Instagram parameters which I won't show you, but it's basically my business ID and some other, really important credentials. I won't show you too much of that, but all of that gets put in there and it gets passed on as well. And then here we are just using the Facebook graph nodes, which is like a lot of them, but they're very useful. Facebook graph is annoying at first. I know it used to annoy me greatly when I was trying to post things on Facebook and on Instagram back then. I just couldn't figure it out. The trick is to basically have business profiles. Facebook will not allow you to post on their platforms if you don't connect your business profile on here. So before, what I was trying to do, I was trying to post on my Instagram, but my Instagram wasn't a business Instagram. It wasn't an Instagram business account, and that was why things weren't going very well for me. I should have converted my account into a business account by connecting a Facebook page to it, and then going to Meta Business, and then connecting some other stuff, and then going ahead and then to the Facebook developers page, and then doing a bunch of setups over there as well. Um, all those things. Maybe I could go through them in like a future video, but like yeah, it's pretty extensive, but it's relatively worth it. Um, Another thing you have to understand is that Facebook has these edges, which is how the graph basically works. It's like if you're posting to Instagram, you have to post to media, and if you're posting to Facebook, you have to post on some other edge. And if you're posting to a different platform, I think it might be Threads, maybe you might be posting to another different edge. Um, this means that you don't need all the different integrations. You could just integrate your Facebook graph, and you'll have access to all these different apps, which is very useful. But it's also very complicated, as you might imagine. But yeah, like this is my business account ID. And then I'm passing also the image URL and the caption as well. Um, so it's the caption in the first comment. And you might be saying, why am I calling it first comment if it's not actually the comment, if I'm just passing it the caption? Um, it feels like a first comment to me. Okay, This is the next one. What we're doing here is we're getting the status of the post. So what we just did is we just requested Facebook Graph to basically create this media node for us, where we could in future plop the image inside and actually just post something out there. We're telling it to create an instance of a media object for us, please. And then if that succeeds, then we will get a success of it. Let me actually pass the execution just so that you see how this is supposed to look. Okay, so this is yeah, it's the most recent one. Yeah, we also get an ID from here, which is very very crucial, because this ID is going to determine like exactly what we act on every single time. So once we get the ID, we just get the status of the ID over here. We get a bunch of fields like the ID, the status, and the status code. All of these are very useful for us. And then once we basically just check the status code. We check if it's finished. If it's not finished, then we'll know that there was an error when we were trying to post the image. Instagram just isn't allowing us to do that, and that's okay. But if there is no error, then everything is fine and we're home free. In this case, there was no error, so we could finally publish the media, which is pretty good for us. Again, we pass the business account ID, and then we have the creation ID, which is the ID that we keep passing on every single time. Post request again, and this is a different edge because that's how Facebook Graph works. Um, and then, yeah, again, we get the status. If the status is published, it means everything went well. And we get a bunch of fields here just to see. And yeah, the only way we could ever get the status code field is by actually specifying that we want the status code field over here. And then we check on that status code field. We check, oh, is it published? And if it is published, then we want to send ourselves a message. So we want to say, hey, your you know your post has succeeded. Well done. We would have sent us a message over here as well, telling us, telling, oh, hey, your post failed. Try again later or something like that. This is very useful if ever I want to step completely away from it. Like I want to automate the entire thing without ever touching it. That is also a possibility. I write so much content that I feel like I can do that. And I actually have built systems that actually do that. I could show you. I just have like Airtables full of just content on content on content. And those are all like systems that I've built before. Very, very interesting systems that can automate the entire online presence of a person. All of this is like really cool stuff. And basically, if you just don't have time to be posting on Instagram, just build something like this once. And then you could literally, whenever you get good ideas, just type something and you'll have like really, really good outputs like this to cease becoming is to begin seizing. It sounds so good. Oh my God. Okay, for me, it sounds really good. But like basically, the idea is just like if if you stop trying to be better, you will start dying, right? The moment you stop trying is the moment you start dying. You die inside, the world dies to you, and everything, like this image is just perfect. Like, look at the purples and the blues and the nodes and the data streams and the ugh. Okay, let me stop getting excited. This has just been me showing you how to automate your Instagram presence without actually trying too hard. Thank you for watching, and I will see you when I see you next time.